I recently.
All right. Okay, 5:35. Couple of our members are delayed. I know there's a big accident over on 395 near the Occam exit, so traffic is tied up in that whole area, so I don't know if anybody's in that area. All right, today I'm gonna give the pledge. How's that?
Special treat.
Special treat today. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first item on the agenda. Approval of the minutes from November 21st meeting. Could I have a motion, please?
I move we accept the minutes of the November 21st meeting.
Krista Stacy, I'll second that.
Okay, any adjustments, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, passes 6-0. Next item, approval of the minutes of the special Board of Ed meeting on November 21st.
Oh, we actually updated it, Mark. The first one we had approved last one.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I think you just need to refresh.
Yeah.
It's just the 21st.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so that was the one we approved. Okay. Okay, we go on to the recognition awards.
Okay, we're gonna start with the Key is Me Award, Rika Armstrong. Rika is a social worker at Veterans School. She was nominated by Jessica Petrangelo and Morgan Anthony. Every day, Rika comes to work and tirelessly puts in 110% for her students. She supports our staff as well and is always there to listen, talk, and help. She sees the strengths of students before she sees any weaknesses. Rika makes every student feel welcomed and successful by exhibiting a warm space where they feel safe and comfortable. She reinforces their sense of belonging and values their thoughts and opinions. So, congratulations, this one. Yep. Congratulations. I Make a Difference goes to Trish Lewan. I think I saw you today. A few times today. About Trish. So she was nominated by Marley Harlacher. Who is Marley? She's right over there. There she is. Okay. About Trish. Trish Lewan is a para-educator at Mahan School that is truly deserving of this award. She has not only made a difference in my life, but has positively affected the students that she supports each and every day. Principal Hollihan says, Trish's unwavering commitment to supporting her students is nothing short of inspiring. Her ability to connect with students and meet their unique needs is a testament to her incredible skill and compassion. Trish consistently brings her best to the table. Her positive attitude and teamwork make her an invaluable part of our school community, and her contributions truly make a difference in the lives of so many students, as I saw you today walking through classes, so congratulations. And now, the most important one is Leah Gilbert. She can come on up. And I'm gonna have Carolina MK come up because we're gonna do it in English and in Spanish. I wish I could do it in Spanish. I'm always jealous of people that can. We'll like go back. Caroline Empey is principal at Stanton. So Miss Perez nominated Leah and says, Leah, is a shining star in her kindergarten class. She's an active participant and a good example for her peers in class. She is always ready to learn and an inspiration to others.
Alright, tú me inspiras. La señora Pérez nominó a Lea y dice que Lea es una estrella brillante en su clase de kinder. Ella participa activamente y es un buen ejemplo para sus compañeros de clase. Está lista para aprender y es una inspiración para los demás.
Principal Dusso says, Leah loves her new school and kindergarten class. At first, it was scary to come to school, but Leah was brave. Leah met many new teachers like Mrs. Nancy and Mrs. Zura. Leah also made friends in her classroom. Leah and her mom worked together to teach Leah's new teachers how to take good care of her, and Leah taught her friends all about the things she needs to do to be safe every day. Leah and her friends are so excited to be in school together every day. I'm gonna start that in a moment.
La directora Dusso dice que a Lea le encanta su escuela nueva y su clase de kinder. Al principio le daba miedo ir a la escuela, pero Lea fue valiente. Lea trabajó con muchos maestros nuevos, como la señora Nancy y la señora Zagura. Lea también hizo amigos en su salón de clases. Lea y su mamá trabajaron en conjunto con los maestros para asegurarse del bienestar de ella. Lea les explicó a sus amigos las medidas a tomar para mantenerse saludable.
Leah and her friends are so excited to be in school together every day. Leah models our Waquanic Paws as a kindergarten leader every day. She always practices positivity, acts responsibly, works hard, and is safe. Leah is a wonderful, hardworking student who overcomes challenges every day to do what she loves, which is to learn at school with her friends.
Lea y sus amigas están muy emocionados de estar juntos en la escuela todos los días. Lea es un ejemplo para la escuela, pues demuestra las cualidades de Waquanic Paws, ya que es una líder de kinder. Siempre es positiva, responsable y es segura de sí misma. Es una maravillosa estudiante que se esfuerza para superar los desafíos a los que se enfrenta todos los días para hacer lo que ama, lo cual es aprender con sus amigos en la escuela.
Congratulations.
All right, we'll take a 5-minute break and we'll go take pictures.
It's all in middle school first. Middle school happenings. It's not.
Oh, you wanna do that before we take pictures?
I don't know,
We
it
take
just
pic-
was in the order here, I don't know what the.
We'll do pictures real quick.
Okay.
Okay, let's continue on, get our middle school report. And if you ladies could just introduce yourselves, use the mic, please.
My name is Robin Hessen. I'm the eighth
Uh,
grade
You
teacher.
may have to turn that on.
Sorry about that.
Well, how would you know? We didn't tell you to, where it is, so we got it.
Hello.
It's on, just have to speak up.
Okay. My name is Robin Hessen from the eighth grade.
And I'm Carolina Colazzo from the 8th grade also.
We have our middle school updates for the past month. I don't know if this thing is on. Yeah. Oh, hello. All right. Teachers Memorial Global Studies Magnet Middle School updates for the past month. Our girls and boys basketball teams kicked off the season yesterday. We are hosting family paint night on Wednesday evening. Friday night, we are holding our snowflake winter dance. 7th grade is attending the Project O field trip this week. 8th grade did a field trip to NFA at the end of November to learn about high school options, and students are sending out candygrams to celebrate the holidays with their friends.
This is Kelly Steam Magnet Middle School updates. Girls and boys basketball season has begun, and we are so excited to see them grow as a team over the next few months. We hosted a family game night at the end of November, and it was a smashing success. Students and their families had a great time. Mr. Morris ran the annual Food Fight Challenge, where we collected canned goods and non-perishable items to help stock food pantries at Waquanic and Veterans School. Kelly won the food fight by collecting the most items. Last night, we hosted a cookie decorating night and winter holiday shopping event. We featured all local vendors to support our community. Next week will be a Student Spirit Week to take us into winter break, ending with a fun Friday celebration. Our 7th grade took a field trip to Project O this week and had a great time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, public comment. Do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
Smith, Jean Baptiste.
Okay, I just have a short blurb to read here. The Norwich Board of Education values the public comment period as it represents an opportunity for members of the public to express their views to the board on matters within the board's authority. Procedurally, public comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person and up to 30 minutes per topic. Comments may be consolidated or given by a group spokesman. All comments must be directed to the board, not to any individual board member or individual member of the administration. The board and the administration will not respond to questions or engage in dialogue during the public comment period. The board and the administration will determine when and how to address questions that arise during the public comment period. Comments may be submitted via email or in writing at any time. Profanity, raised voices, boisterous conduct, and personal animosity will not be tolerated and may result in the suspension of that individual's speaking privilege. The chair reserves the right to limit public comment at any time so that the board's business may be conducted in a timely manner. Each speaker is asked to give their name and address for the record before starting their remarks. Thank you.
Name is Smith Jean Baptiste, 40 Cherry Hill Road. First off, I would like to thank the board from the last time I spoke. I believe it was in October. And I believe that our voices were heard because I did receive a phone call from the school safety board, I believe, the next morning, and they spoke to me about how they were going to look into the issue with the school buses pertaining the kids taking the buses and stuff like that. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, so it's pretty much based on this. I understand that somebody reached out to me, and then we see that there's some work being done and stuff like that. And we just had our first minor snow, and then I was fortunate that I had to work from home, and then I was witnessing these kids, trying to get to the bus, where they have to take the bus, and then I think, I needed to put emphasis on that, how important it is. I understand that they're working on that, and then the sooner the better, because also it got really dark. Like on my way here, I realized it was very depressed. It was 5:30 and it's so dark out already. And I do have a student at my house that have after school, and then he comes home around that time. And I really understand that it's not gonna happen the next day, but I would like to put emphasis on that we really need to look into that further. That's all I have.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
is there anyone else?
No.
Yes, go ahead. Please give your name. Are you a student?
Yes.
Yeah, just first name is fine.
My name is Isaac,
And which school do you go to?
NFA.
Okay.
I came here to talk about the buses as well. Like he said, it gets dark fairly quickly now because the time's changed. And like he said also, snow has recently came and ice is gonna come, and it's fairly dangerous if kids are walking, because I'm one of those who walk home, and kids don't know how to use a sidewalk, and they don't. What I'm trying to say is it's getting dark, it's icy, and I feel like we need buses. It's getting cold as well. And so buses are a great tool for students. Sorry, I'm nervous. But yeah, buses are very needed in this time. Kids, I've gotten complaints from my friends as well. It's cold out, and yeah, that's basically it.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else for public comment? Would anyone else like to speak at public comment?
Hello, my name is Jenny St. Joseph. I live at 36 Convent Avenue, and I'm just a resident in the area. And the only concern I have is when I see kids walking, especially on Beach Street in Norwich, Connecticut, there's no sidewalk, so they're walking in the street. So sometimes if you monitor how people are driving, they're speeding. So my only concern is, are we gonna wait one day for a tragedy to happen for us to take action? Because then now you're gonna have to answer to the parents, and now you're gonna have a bigger issue on our hands. So that's all I had to say.
Okay, thank you. And is there anyone else who would like to speak for public comment? Anyone else who wishes to speak at public comment? And final time, anyone else wish to speak for public comment? I declare public comment closed. Okay, next item is the presentation by Norwich Free Academy.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. It's good to be here. My name is Nate Quinnell. I'm the head of school at Norwich Free Academy and had the opportunity to be here last year with you guys, and really appreciate the time you've given us on your schedule to talk about Norwich Free Academy and our relationship with Norwich Public Schools. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoy. We had a little gift from our Cat Shack, which is our student-run store on campus. If we got the wrong size, let us know. Just swing by the Cat Shack. We're happy to get you the right size. In addition, it's a great place to pick up some Christmas presents. So swing by.
I'm hearing from people that are watching that they can't hear anything, that are home trying to listen, Joe. They can't hear this at home.
I can try to talk louder. I can try that.
No. I think it's a problem with our YouTube feed.
I got it on YouTube right now.
Okay, so you can hear good?
Yeah.
Okay.
They probably don't have the volume. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Can hear you now.
A little delay.
There we go. Well, to all the folks who are turning in at home, glad you're here on YouTube as well. So tonight I want to take a little bit of moment of time just to talk about Norwich Free Academy, and I know many of you know a lot about Norwich Free Academy, and many of you went to Norwich Free Academy. Many of you have children who've gone to Norwich Free Academy, and certainly you can help chime in and help me out with this presentation as we go through. But I want to talk to you about the special high school and the special kids that come from Norwich, Connecticut, who come to our school, and get into that. And I hope throughout this presentation, I think a few things as my past experience. I was a longtime superintendent in a large urban school district and worked very closely with boards of education such as yourself. And I think the big thing boards were always trying to understand is how did the decision we make here today impact the child in a classroom, and how does it change futures and lives? And I hope today when we talk about a little bit, I hope that comes clear for you. For me, that's a very simple question in the role that I'm in right now because I watch it every single day. I watch Isaac come up here and work through a presentation, and I'm proud of him for that. I've watched students overcome challenge, strive and achieve at high levels, and then go on to do amazing things. And that is the essence of why you're here. That's why you volunteered your time. That's why you've put this in, and I really admire you for that. And I think the second thing I really want to try to get to is understanding the investment that Norwich, Connecticut has made in Norwich Free Academy. And in that investment, what is the return? And what comes back to the community from there? And hopefully we can get to that tonight. So that's kind of the intent. But I want to start off with, I'm new to the area. I've been at Norwich Free Academy for a year and a half now. I am incredibly grateful to be there. I'm incredibly grateful to be the parent of what will be two Wildcat alums as well. And I've become just a huge fan of Norwich history and Norwich Free Academy history. And I think it kind of sets the story of what's happening here. You know, not very many communities can talk about a relationship with an endowed academy for 170 years, and you can. And I read this really interesting story. Some of you probably know the story, but it was a story that was hatched in the beginnings of Norwich town government. And it really, oddly enough, in 1854, really in 1842 is where this conversation was happening. Turns out they were struggling politically then too, right? That's not a new phenomenon, I guess, in our world. So it's good, we still got that going for us. And at this debate, there was a debate around ed reform and what schools should be doing or shouldn't be doing in a school. And the mayor of the city of Norwich, his name was John Breed. At Christmas time, I don't know if everyone looked like Ebenezer Scrooge back then, but mutton chops apparently were in. They could be coming back. He was becoming frustrated and annoyed with this conversation. John Gulliver, the Reverend Gulliver, who was the founder of NFA, was talking about reform. And there was a lot of complaints about how schools work. And Mayor Breed at that point said, you know, why don't you just go ahead and do it then? Why don't you just form this academy? And by the way, if you do it, I'll donate some money. So that was the dare. And from that dare, that offhand kind of comment dare, sprang the beginnings of Norwich Free Academy, which you understand the tradition of how that happens. A group of Norwich leaders came together and said, hey, we can do better. We can do better for our kids. And what can we do? And that led to the differing levels of investment that built the first building of what we call Tyrrell now. They called Maine back then. And the academy started and carried forward. And I think that's an important story to tell. It's an important story because it talks about the relationship between this body that sits here at Kelly Steam School and the school that's down the street from you. And that's a story of history. That's something worth preserving, and that's something worth maintaining. So I appreciate entertaining me in that story. I've talked about our agenda, where we are. This is as close as we can get to Mayor Breed now. It's our Wildcat. He's setting a story for us. And, please, if there's questions, happy to answer questions. If I can't answer it, happy to get back to you and go from there. So to jump in, I want to talk about Norwich students at NFA. And this, I think, is a really fascinating slide for me. And so we have just under 2,100 students there, about 1,292, so almost 1,300 of those students, 72% of those students come from Norwich. This is Norwich High School. This is your high school. This is the school that students come through your school systems, whether it's the young lady that you just gave an award to, and she's looked like she was a pre-K student, so she's got a little bit of time, but that she is a Wildcat in 9th grade moving forward. We have 258 students with special needs. 237 of those students come from Norwich. We have 321 students who identify as speaking a multi-language learner. These are kids that give us incredible opportunity and promise as we talk about the changing face of our world. 91% of those students come from Norwich. And then if you break the school apart demographically or based on race, and this is how students obviously identify, you can see the same thing. So for this chart, which might be a little hard to see here, and I can send, Superintendent Lassard has a slide so she can share them with you as appropriate. You can see the red line are students from Norwich, the blue line are students in total. So, when you look at this, you can really see the high proportion of students in different racial subgroups that come from Norwich, Connecticut. And this, for me, is a slide of value. This tells us the kids we're educating. This talks about the shared purpose and mission you have as a Norwich Board of Education, and we have as Norwich Free Academy. And I think really important, pivotal. There's lots of other small high schools in the region now. None of those high schools can talk about this percentage of Norwich kids. This is your school. This is the school where the vast majority of your kids will go. And I think as we talk about how do we build this together and how do we truly lift this community up, we can go back to those words of John Breed and, of course, Reverend Gulliver and talk about a sense of a value that I would be worth investing in, and I think that's where that story ties. So for us, we're in the heart of recruitment season right now. In 8th grade, no one was begging me to go to their high school. That's an asset apparently kids have these days, and that's pretty cool. I've been watching the Juan Soto kind of trilogy happening over and over, and I think some kids around here that maybe go to a Teachers Memorial feel a little bit like Juan Soto. I don't know if there's as many zeros after the name, but either way, pretty cool experience. And we talk about our school really from three layers of why you should go there. And tonight I'm going to talk to you about those 3 layers. And we're going to talk a little bit about the academic and career opportunities at the school. NFA is a school that has a vast, comprehensive list of offerings. It's unrivaled by any school in the country. You can't go to a school in the region that can offer a third of the courses that NFA offers. The challenge at NFA, frankly, is trying to find your way through those options. That's a wonderful opportunity for our kids to have. NFA is a school that's incredibly worked to build career and technical training. Years ago, when I went to high school, if you wanted career and technical training, you would go to a technical high school. That's no longer the case, nor it should be the case, as we realize the workforce has changed so dramatically and simply demands schools do things differently. We also realize if you pay your plumber to come fix a drain at your house and you've remortgaged your house to pay his hourly rate, you realize that might not be a bad thing for schools to be doing, and NFA has done an awful lot of work there. And finally, NFA is a school that began as an art school. It began as a school that really lifted up kids with a museum that was given to the school, and a place that wanted to appreciate beauty and appreciate all that's good around our world, and the arts experience at NFA. Student experience at NFA and campus life, we're going to talk a little bit about what an individualized student experience. I'm new to the area, so these are new things for me. I haven't totally found a way to understand it, but I hear people say to me, well, NFA is too big and won't know my child. It's actually the exact opposite. NFA is large enough where your child's going to find a home, your child's going to find a place, your child is going to find their future and someone who is like them there. In a small school, you may or may not. The numbers just don't work in your favor. We're going to talk about student activities, club sports, and ultimately our campus environment. But the big message for us, and this is, I hope you saw when you drive down Crescent Street, you can see the sign in the front that says, "You belong here." And that's a message to 2 different kinds of people. One, it's a message to students that walk through those iron gates every day. They belong here. Those are students who are first-generation Americans. They belong here. These are students whose families have lived in this area, settled this area, been a part of the history of the North, Southeast Connecticut. They belong here. They find their name here. They find their friends here. They find meaning and purpose here. But it's also meant to be a statement for someone who doesn't go there. Maybe it's a student who in 9th grade chose to go to a different school and then maybe isn't having that success. And our message is to them, you belong here. 7% of our kids coming into our sophomore class made a different decision their freshman year. And part of our message to them is, hey, listen, as an 8th grader, we might be able to help you with that and ease your transition of life in high school. By the time you get to a junior, 12% of our students are coming back to NFA. And that's something to talk about maybe in the future date as well, but an interesting statistic. So when we pivot to this career and academic and career offerings where we are, I want to share something with you, and hopefully this will work as hyperlink. I want to show you, because this is something I show to a lot of parents when I sit with them. And I guess, I don't know if you can share my screen, who's ever the tech in the back, and just share. Can you share what I'm sharing right now on my screen? I want to share the course catalog, and I'm not going to spend a ton of time with it, but I think it's really important.
Oh, you want to put that up?
Yeah, I want to put that up there. I got to challenge the tech guy, man. That's never a recipe for success for me, you know? Our course catalog has a list of courses that are offered to students, and this is, I'm just gonna scroll through this. This is right on our website, and it kind of lays out how courses work. And I'm not gonna spend too much time, but I just want to see, obviously you can look what students can take by grade level. But these are the courses that your public high school is providing your kids. It's organized alphabetically. So we're in the A's right now, which is in the arts courses. And you can see Unified Ceramics, UConn Drawing, Ceramics 3, Sculpture, Design, Drawing 2, Drawing 1 Foundations, Drawing 3, Honors Drawing, Graphic Design. We're still in the arts. And these are the choices that your students, Jewelry and Metals 2, Jewelry and Metals 3. And I think, you know, I look at some of these things. We're still in the arts right now, moving to the business courses a little bit right now, personal finance, dance, ballet, choreography. I think it's really important to see this. I had an interesting family experience. My children, previously to me coming to NFA, my children went to a very small high school in the state of Connecticut. My wife's family is from this town. We moved to that town for my children to go to school there. My wife had gone to that high school. Her parents had gone to the high school. And I never thought my students have never gone to the schools I've worked in previously, and my students came down to the school, and my wife saw this, and she said, Nate, we're missing an opportunity if our kids don't go to school there. And so it is. You know, when you think about a school that has a full-time dance program, think about a school that has, I want to try to get into the English program here. You know, in your junior year of English, instead of taking courses that you see in a traditional high school, such as American Lit or Brit Lit, you have an opportunity to take graphic horror, Gothic horror, identity and relationships, journalism, myth in the movies, multicultural literature, medieval literature. And the theory here for us is in this individualized student experience is that we find something that keys your interest, and in that interest, we get your engagement. And in your engagement, we get your achievement. There is no school who offers these choices in the way that NFA does, and I'm beyond proud of that opportunity to be there. So kind of summarizing that, there's 17 advanced placement courses. We're actively building that. We have over 45 college credits through UConn, Eastern, and Three Rivers. In this number really is amazing to me. 450 students are enrolled in one or more college course this year here at NFA. That's right now in the fall semester. That'll result in 128 students earning about 11 to 20 college credits. So 11 to 20 college credits is a full year of college. Obviously, that's a year that will be done for free. So when you think about the value of that with students walking out of our school, that's theirs. That's not a value that you're going to find at other schools in the area. And then obviously, all of our students, there's honors core classes in all content areas, grades 9 through 12. And you know, I sent you guys this week, I sent you our updated annual performance report. I'm sure Susan's going to share it with you or has already shared it with you. When we look at how our Norwich students doing, you can see that out of the students you have here in this semester, in last year's school, 526 of your students earned highest or honors, highest honors, high honors, or high honors in the last semester. Norwich kids are thriving there. And Norwich kids are thriving there because you've done a great job preparing them. Of course, this is a story of success. Of course, are there stories of students who haven't figured it out yet, and that's an important word, that's the yet word. But this is an idea of kind of the things that we're trying to promote. Shifting forward, one of the things outside of this, and I think NFA at times I've learned, has been heard of as a school, if you want to go to a four-year college, you would go to NFA. Maybe that was accurate at a certain time. That is certainly not accurate anymore. NFA is a school that if you want to have an experience that matches your interests, needs, and desire, NFA is a school for you. as I talked about before, one of our heavy focus areas is career and technical training. I think this is our fastest growing area of the school right now. I think it's also the area that we're finding for our students in terms of what are they asking for in their courses. This is where they want to be. And also find as we're on the recruitment trail, recruiting students both internationally and private students around the area. This is what they want as well. So at NFA, we offer 2 essential path lines with multiple pathways. Pipelines are direct routes to employers that provide employment post-high school. The first one we offer is called the Youth Manufacturing Pipeline Initiative. This is built with the Investment Workforce Board, EWIB, in Eastern Connecticut, and direct feeds of students to Electric Boat and to local manufacturers. Last year's graduating class had 18 students with signed contract at Electric Boat. They're all in excess of $30 an hour with full benefits and a career track for them pre-graduation. That's pretty incredible. We also have built we've built a same model, a youth healthcare pipeline initiative. So same concept, just changed the M to an H. And in here at NFA right now, we have 23 students who are working towards their EMT. That is being taught by an outside instructor who's coming in. These students will graduate from NFA with an EMT certificate. In addition, we have a CNA program, same concept, same model, and a new program for us called CNA Medical Interpreter, which is a certification where students who are, especially our multilingual students, are working directly to get certification so they can work in emergency rooms and hospitals to use their native language to translate medical terminology. You know, if you think about that, if you speak Haitian Creole and you show up in the back of some emergency room and suddenly there's someone sitting there who can speak your language and explain what the doctor's saying to you. I speak English. I sometimes think I need a translator when I sit in those moments, but I can't imagine what it's like if I didn't speak English in those moments. On our pathways, which a difference between a pathway and a pipeline is essentially a pathway is offering the exploration of the content without directly immersing you to it. And I think it's a really important note. You know, I get concerned when people talk at 13 years old that they know what they want to do for the rest of their life. I was going to be a professional baseball player. It's too bad that didn't work out right now. But I think it's probably a pretty good thing that we keep the doors open as long as possible. And I get concerned when we say, I'm going to go to X technical school because I want to be an HVAC technician. And I would say you're 13, you know, pump the brakes on that. Maybe something else will happen to you. I'm an example of that. I went to a technical high school. I am not, I was a carpenter. Hey, listen, I still bang a few nails on a weekend, but I'm very glad that I had an opportunity to do some other things in my life throughout my experience. So we have 5 pathways. The 5th one we just started. We just got going in partnership with the Norwich Fire Department and Police Services. We have a culinary pathway where our students are working from culinary 1, 2, 3, and then ultimately moving into our Brickview restaurant, which is our public restaurant, and serving food. Those students are going on to Johnson & Wales and very high elite level cooking schools in the country. We have a business banking program that runs through our Cat Shack, which is a student-run business. We've just started this year in partnership with multiple childcare providers around here, an early childhood education program where our students get a CDA or an accredited child development accreditation. That'll set them up for early childhood education. We've talked about our healthcare pathway, and we've just started a fire service and CPR AED first aid program. So the big picture here I'm trying to get to is that there are lots of choices for you here at NFA, and I want to take a quick second and show you a really cool quick video that tells a little bit about this story, and I'll see if I can click it and see if we can get it.
The Youth Manufacturing Pipeline Initiative at NFA is a program in which we are teaching students proper job skills to place them into good quality employment after high school. EWIB, which is the Eastern Workforce Investment Board, started a program called the Manufacturing Pipeline Initiative, and that was to train adults to go into places of manufacturing employment, such as Electric Boat. And they realized that there was an untapped resource at the high schools. So they decided to start the YMPI program a year later. From that, we were the pilot school.
Historically, Norwich Free Academy has been a go-to for piloting workforce development programs and raised their hand to be one of the first pilots of the Youth Manufacturing Pipeline Initiative. As of today, there are 30,000 more open jobs in Connecticut than there are unemployed people. Really, there's not enough of the active current workforce to support what the employers need.
There is a big shortage in the trades, as we all know, and it's a great opportunity for people to learn. Being mechanically inclined is something that I always was better at than sitting behind a desk, and I saw my opportunity and I wanted to take it.
To me, I'm a firm believer, you can't complain about the problem if you're not willing to be part of the solution. So for me, being part of the solution was, okay, how do we get the messaging out to people at a younger age? How do we get parents to understand that these are good careers, that these kids can have very successful, good opportunities in? And that's really where we decided to focus on high schools and really get that messaging out there to where not every kid is college ready.
I was going to be the first person in my family to go to college, but I got to this point where I can't afford to go to college. Life is expensive and the trades are highly valued. When you learn something, no one can take that away from you. And so no matter what, you're always valued because of what you know.
A kid that goes through an apprenticeship right out of high school, they're earning, they're learning, they're making $30,000, $40,000 a year while they're learning their trade.
I started Collins and Jewel because they're also willing to work with my schedule. They know that eventually I'm going to be going to college, and so they're very flexible on like what's best for you. I'm actually studying management and engineering and manufacturing at UConn stores. So being here actually is the perfect like place setting to be, because that could potentially be like a supervisor or like a manager position with manufacturing, which is what I do.
YMPI is great because it does teach them the basics to function in the manufacturing world. They get their OSHA 10 card, they understand safety, they understand reading a tape measure. You know, those are all basic things that us old tradespeople take for granted, but you've got to teach these young people this. And the good thing about NFA's program specifically is you have consistency in the teaching. So having Todd be that same constant person teaching cohort after cohort really makes the product be consistent for us.
Traditionally, we've really been looking at students going to college after high school. So a lot of our programs were preparing students just to move on to that next step in post-secondary education. Whereas now we're really looking at that job market that is struggling so much in manufacturing in this area. And it's really driving what we're teaching in our classroom to make sure that those students are successful when they leave here and they find good quality employment.
Here I am, I love what I do, and it's so exciting to be able to build something, see it, and say, I did that, I made that, and people are gonna go use it.
Pretty cool way to drop a mic for Kiara. Kiara is an amazing kid who's both working at Collins and Jules during the day and going to UConn at night. My biggest concern for her is I don't know how she fits it all in, but neat to see one of our seniors, last year's seniors, doing that right now. We don't need to watch that again. Here, we'll go to here. The third part of our academic career office is our arts experience. And this is something, again, when NFA was formed, it was formed around industry, academics, and art. And I think something that people know really well. NFA is a very, very unique place. It's one of the 2 public high schools in the country that have a museum, an art museum on the campus. And using that and matching that to our students' desires is something we're really proud of. We have 3 branches of the arts experience at NFA. The first one is visual arts. Visual arts are really your 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional type artwork. This could be from fine arts to darkroom photography to metalsmithing. These are highly requested classes. These are very engaged students. What's really neat about our students in our art program right now is they, throughout the year, they build towards their senior portfolio. Their senior portfolio is the major submission for all art schools that you need to have to go into school. In addition, we have students have an opportunity by packaging these courses together in sequencing to earn what's called a fine arts diploma that all of your major art schools are highly seeking. When students lead NFA with their arts diploma, their first multiple years of art school they're incredibly well prepared and set for that. Our music program, equally as popular at NFA. You probably know them best through the Wildcat Marching Band. Those are their uniforms they're sporting this year. But there's a whole host of programs students can take, from symphonics to orchestra to color guard to jazz to piano to technology to music theory. Our students are musicians. Our students are gifted in this area. UConn might be sitting on 2 back-to-back national championships. We're sitting on 2 back-to-back state championships for our band, and we're pretty proud of that. And then our third part of our arts experience is a really, really unique thing is our performing arts. And our performing arts start with a full-time dance studio where we see 80 to 100 students engaged every single day, from very entry-level dancing They don't have programs that would benefit me, to be honest with you. That's a little lower than NFA would offer. That was a joke, you're not listening to me. But programs such as ballet, tap, jazz, hip hop, modern, these move all the way into dance company, which is our highest level. Our dance company competed this year in the Nationals down in Florida and placed in Nationals for the first time. That's a really big deal. The picture you're looking at from now is the recent dance recital we just did called Peter Pan. That's Tinkerbell, and that's just a cool shot right there. That moves into our play shop. Our play shop is a full complementary professional theater shop that's taught in Slater Auditorium. The teacher for that program is an incredibly gifted Norwich alum who was a former Hollywood actor who now teaches on Broadway, just a different Broadway. And they work through acting 1, 2, and 3, and he teaches a class in there with an English class called Shakespeare and Modern Drama. It's overwhelming when you look at the number of courses there. It's overwhelming when you think what kids can have there. And in that overwhelming opportunity, students find themselves, and they find their group, and they find their friends, and they find their passion, and they find success. If we want American kids, if we want Norwich kids to be successful in life, we have to start offering them things they care about. And when they have things they care about, that's where we find student success. Jumping forward here, we talk about why come to NFA. We talk about moving off the academic and career offerings. We talk about student life and the experience. All of us remember our high school experience. We usually remember a teacher that we really cared about, a teacher more probably who cared about us. But then we'll remember the things, the laughs, the enjoyment, the teams, the fun, the games that we played. And you know, those are things that we care a lot about at NFA. That starts with our campus. NFA campus, as you know, is a college-like campus set with 9 separate buildings. We have 2 campuses. Our main campus that we talk mostly about is obviously on Broadway. Our second campus is on Sachem Street, which is about a block up the road. That's our alternative campus where we have 60 students that are in need of help regarding graduation requirements. Those are students that we have when we get them into the Sachem, the Compass program we call it. We have incredible results as far as turning them around. A new program for us this year that's heavily supported by Norwich Public Schools is our Atlas program. Our Atlas program is identified for students who have very significant, typically behavioral challenges and have not been successful in any main school environment. We have students there this year that haven't been in school in almost a decade. And this year are at our school. And we're working through all the challenges that come with that type of program, but something that we're really proud of. Skipping ahead to student life and experience, obviously we talked a little bit about Slater Museum. If you hadn't had a chance to go to Slater Museum in a while, there's a little something in that bag that might prompt you to do it. There's 2 tickets for you, complimentary tickets. That's a great, you can give those as stocking stuffers to your significant other, and you can tell them you went and purchased them and picked out a day, and we'll give you a complimentary tour. The Slater Museum has you'd have to go to 40 museums across the world to see what you're seeing. You can walk through there, and you don't even have to take an Uber to go there. You can get there on your own. There's 5 continents of art across the world. It's fascinating for me when I think about I walk through there and I walk by Nike Samuel Race and I walk by the Dying Gaul that's about on its to go up to Harvard Art School on loan. And I think about Zeus's altar and Moses. And then I think about walking down and seeing Norwich history that's so prominently portrayed in the story of Ellis Ruley and our own local story that came from a child of enslaved peoples, sold his artwork on the front lawn of Slater for $15 a piece, and now has become collected by the Smithsonian. That's pretty cool. That's here in Norwich, Connecticut. That's in your museum. And that's what your kids are enjoying and appreciating as they take their Latin classes and history classes. Kind of a cool thing to add into your high school experience. The last piece of student life experience I want to talk about is our athletic and extracurricular programming. NFA is a school, if you come to a football game and you get a chance to sit by what we call the Red Sea, you can feel that vibe and know that vibe. And with over 40 sports from 50 varsity junior and varsity teams, NFA is a place where you're going to play a sport. I also hear sometimes this myth that, you know, I don't know if I want my child to go to NFA because I don't know if he or she is good enough to play on XYZ team. They're a double L school. Those are big teams. I can promise you this. First of all, there's 40 sports on this. There's 40 varsity opportunities, 40 sports that are offered. You're going to find a sport. Number 2, there's 3 levels of every sport. There's a freshman, JV, and varsity. Most of the schools, the other schools that kids have opportunity to go to, only will have a JV and varsity team. Your child's going to have a chance to play a sport. And then the third really important part is because of what if NFA is able to do, there's an awful lot of off-season conditioning, workouts, and team building time. if you want to play a sport, you're going to make a team at NFA. You're going to have that opportunity to be with some of the best players in the state of Connecticut, but more importantly, and how good athletes they are, you're going to have a chance to be with kids who understand what it means to be a part of something, and that's what NFA does. I love this picture. This is Joel Barrows. Joel Barrows is a senior of ours right now. Before I came up here, I was watching him in practice, indoor track practice. He high jumped 6'11" right now. He was just offered a Division I scholarship, full ride at a very significant school. I'm super proud of Joel. As great a jumper as, he's an even better kid. He's a Norwich kid. He's one of your kids, and he's somebody this community should be really proud of. He's got a big future ahead of him. 24 members of last year's class are competing at the collegiate level. 4 of them are D1 athletes. One, Joel, is going to be a Division I athlete. Less than 1% of high school athletes play Division I sports, so to think about that kind of number out of one high school is mind-boggling. And then the last piece, and it probably should be a bigger bullet here, but I'm trying to move quickly, is we have over 75 clubs and activities. If you want to be in the most popular club at NFA, you should join the debate team. That has got the most dynamic, engaged club, the award-winning debate team. But if debate team is not your thing, maybe Dungeons & Dragons is. That's the largest team, Mr. Koulos. If you'd like to recruit from there, you're going to have to take a ticket because that's a big group that meets Friday afternoons in the cafeteria. I don't know why they pick Friday afternoons to stay after school. It's not my favorite day for everyone to stay after school, but the Dungeons & Dragons teams definitely enjoy that day, and that's a really great thing. Kind of winding this down here, a really big, important part of NFA that many of our families don't think about, but at the end of the day, high school is just another step in your journey. It's a really important step. But it's one of the important parts of our step in your journey is understanding where you're going and why you're doing it. And you look at this, these are some of the results from last year's graduating class of the 357 students from Norwich and where they went. You know, we had, I'm super proud of the 31%, 32% who are going for an associate's degree. I'm really excited for this 5%, these 17 students who are going right to a trade school or a career education. I'm incredibly proud of these students, these 105 students that are going to a 4-year school. But I'm most proud of this idea of 100% of students having a plan. At NFA, one of the things we've been able to do through the generosity of our founders and of people from the Norwich community and community at large is develop an endowed foundation that gives a very significant gift to students on the way out of the door. Last year, they gave away over $710,000 of cash to students from the NFA Foundation. 187 of those students were from Norwich. 112 of those students were from Norwich. They earned over 202 scholarships for almost $318,000. A good scholarship program in a traditional high school will be probably to $20,000 to $30,000. So when you look at these numbers and you start understanding for families what this means, and one of my favorite stories, maybe one of my favorite experiences in my educational career is I got to know this student over time. My daughter plays on the soccer team, and this child plays on the soccer team. We have an award that comes up every 4 years called the Sidney Frank Award. Sidney Frank was a Norwich person as well who went to NFA, went to Brown for a year, couldn't afford to stay at Brown, left Brown, and at that moment everyone thought his life was a failure, but turns out you're not a failure if you leave Brown. He went on to be the owner of Grey Goose Vodka and Jägermeister, went on to do extremely well, and when he passed, he wanted to make sure that his life mattered for others behind him, and he endowed a gift to Norwich Free Academy that every 4 years one student would have a full ride to a private Ivy League school. He also donated the money for the Frank Center, which is there now. So the process goes through. At any rate, the student who ends up winning this thing is the young lady who played soccer on the same team as my daughter. So anyway, I'd sat in front of her mom many games, and her mom was a very vocal soccer fan, and she would yell things that I would think, but I definitely wouldn't yell. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed listening to her cheering, et cetera. But when the student won, they brought him to my office and said, hey, let's call the mom and surprise her. And I was thinking to myself, imagine if somebody called me right now and told me my child was going to an Ivy League school for free. Well, that would be like a cardiac arrest moment. So I called the mom and I said, you know, are you sitting down? And she said, yeah. So what's going on? Like, you know what, everything okay? I'm like, yeah, everything's okay. I said, but you know, your life's about to change forever. I said, your daughter's going to Tufts for free. And of course, what happened there, you can imagine what happened for there. But that's an idea of the generosity of the community to students from Norwich, to students from the greater Southeast Connecticut area. And I'm really proud of that. Something that we don't talk a lot about, but something we should recognize. So the last piece, landing the plane here, I told you there are 3 points. I told you point number 1 was the academic career offerings. I told you point number 2 was the student life experience. But the most important thing for us, I think, when we talk about our kids, is we want our kids to belong somewhere. I want to belong somewhere. And we want to be that school where you belong. And the Norwich community belongs at NFA. That's why it's called Norwich Free Academy. Out of the 9 sending towns, we aren't Preston Free Academy, we're Norwich Free Academy. And that relationship that's been cultivated by a Board of Education like you, for better, for worse. There's been better years in this relationship. I don't know if there's been better, but there's definitely been worse years in this relationship. That's a relationship that people have had the wisdom and the thought to preserve and take care of. And I so appreciate this board and your investment in Norwich Free Academy. I hope over the future, as we continue to talk about this, we can talk about how we can refine and strengthen that. Connecticut, Norwich is going through a period of time where school-age children is shrinking down. And if we're going to continue to lift this up, cut costs, and preserve resources both in Norwich Public Schools and at Norwich Free Academy, then this relationship is something we're gonna have to continue to work on. But I sincerely appreciate, I'm gonna land a plane with this right here. I'm just gonna pause this, just 'cause I didn't set it up right, but this is our commencement ceremony thing, and the reason I want to do is, this is where you know it all matters. And as you watch this video, what happens and all the scenery and all that stuff is really beautiful and wonderful, and the music's great. But what I really want you to do is watch the faces of your kids. And then importantly, watch the faces of your parents as they experience this. And I think when you want to know why NFA, I think this video will answer the question in itself.
Incredible kids of the state of Connecticut. Understand your power to make a difference for mankind. And live in that power, guys.
We are the sum of our experiences, made up of our greatest passions, brightest dreams.
In a world that expects you to whisper, choose to yell. Choose to use your voice because you can open doors and start conversations.
You will remember these years. While there is no Ivy League of high schools, if there were, NFA would be like Harvard and Yale combined. The true very best Ivy League high school.
Yeah, so I get chills every time I watch that video, and I've watched that video about 150 times, well, probably more than that. So I hope that story, I hope Ashnael and Stacy, those were our 2 class orders, they're Norwich kids. I hope they spoke to you. And I hope in that video you saw the investment that Norwich Public Schools continues to make in an academy that cares about your kids, that wants to take care of your children, that wants to support you and wants to work hard to make this community what we know it can be. Thank you very much for the time I had here tonight. I am unabashedly and beyond proud of your school and our school. And I'm so excited about what we can do in the future as we move forward. So with that, thank you for all the time tonight.
Sorry, I know I came in a little bit late.
No.
I don't know if it was you or someone else who came and presented to us last year. I know there was
Yeah.
I know there was a big push around exploring international students.
Yeah.
I don't know if you covered that earlier on in your presentation.
I didn't cover that in this presentation, but I'm happy to. we have had that, so I think very simply put, NFA's population is around 2,100 students, and that's where we need the school to be. Part of why NFA can offer the things it does to students individually is because of its size. Simply small high schools can't offer these things. Small high schools will give you the illusion that if you come here, you're gonna be unique and special, but the reality is they have one English class, they have one social studies class, they have one PE class. That's not unique and special. What's unique and special is when you can take 15 different things that align to my specific interests. But with that responsibility, you have to maintain your enrollment or you no longer can continue to offer that. So as school-age populations in Southeast Connecticut, I know you as the Norwich Board of Ed have been following you guys in the paper, right? This has impacted your construction plans, a lower number of students, just simply in the region, because people aren't crazy. No one wants to have 7 kids, right? That's a crazy thing to do. I'm kidding, I have 7 kids. I'm joking around with you guys. I'm not recommending that though, especially at Christmas time. But we have had to find new ways to bring in more population of students to offset the loss of what's happened in the region, right? So for us, that pre-COVID, there was a heavy push towards China. Pre-COVID, there was around 70 students there from China that were at NFA, and those students bring in revenue and tuition dollars with them. COVID happens, all that's lost, literally drops to 0. I'm really excited. We've rebuilt that number. I think we're at 84 students right now from non-sending districts. 51 of those are international students. The other 20 are students in the local area, Groton, Ledyard, et cetera, that want to come to NFA. We call them private students. They come to us as a private school. But we are projecting we'll be over, I think, 112 for next school year. We are bringing in from 13 countries, from Kazakhstan to Poland to China to Canada. Our largest country is Canada right now. And those students bring an amazing international flavor to our school. Beyond the fact just our community is an international flavor, but this brings in a different element of that. It's important for us in the sense of our culture of our school, and it's also incredibly important on the revenue side of our school. And it also allows us, when we talk about the cost of Norwich Public School to Norwich, your cost is significantly below any of your tuition costs are significantly below any of the values of any private schools or any of the independent schools or any of the tuition schools in the area. And we want to keep it like that because that's part of being a good partner. So long answer to a complicated question. Thank you for that.
And your limiting factor on the international would be housing host families, correct?
Well, it was until I think at our last trustee meeting, you volunteered to take 4 students, and we're excited about that. We do.
They'll be sharing that 8 by 10 shed.
Yeah. So we have 36 families in the area right now that are host families for us. They are billeting families. Host families for us receive a stipend, a monthly stipend, as part of caring for children. We are actively recruiting those families. That's a really neat experience for our families in the area to have students, international students specifically, in their home. These students, again, Switzerland, Italy, China, Japan, Vietnam, Kazakhstan. We have a student from Kazakhstan right now. And that's how we host the families. We are trying to figure out, we unfortunately are at a place where we are turning kids away right now because we don't have families for them to stay at. Host families are, obviously it's very challenging to find host families. But if you're interested at all, that's an off record conversation, and I can hook you up. We'd love to entertain that with anyone or anyone watching here tonight. Thank you all. Thank you for having me tonight, and wish everybody a happy holidays. And I hope the shirts fit. If they don't fit, please, no shame, no blame. We'd exchange it, no problem. And you can confuse one of our juniors how to do refunds at the Cat Shack. So don't miss that opportunity. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
All right, we go on to the report of the chair. I have a couple of announcements. I know tomorrow the Norwich Interfaith Council, they'll be doing a special presentation in front of City Hall. That's rain dependent, I don't know, I guess. As the 12th, as a remembrance of the 12th anniversary of the Sandy Hook tragedy. The universe is going to be cooperating with us, putting on a couple of celestial shows. Friday the 13th will be the height of the Ganymede meteor shower, starting at 9 or 10 p.m. anywhere from 50 to 120 meteors per hour will be whizzing through the air. So depending if it's a nice clear night, you should be a very good show. Also, Sunday night will be the full moon. The December moon is known as the snow moon or Christmas moon. We as a group here from Norwich sent a contingent to the CABE convention, the Connecticut Association of Boards of Ed, on November 15th and 16th. It was a good educational opportunity for all involved. Had some very good speakers there and good programs. On the 22nd of November, there was the Norwich Public Education School Education Foundation Follies, which was here at the auditorium, very well attended, and it also featured the NFA dancers, which they were a fun group. Okay, let's see. As far as the investigation goes, it's a process. We hope to have a resolution soon. We're putting a big push on that in December, trying to wrap it up. Whether that will happen before the end of this year, I don't know. I know we're getting closer to a resolution than we have been. So we're all hopeful on that. Let's see. Remember that December and these holidays, it's a season of light in the darkest time of the year. So please be courteous, show some courtesy, put a smile on. Keep peace within your family. Don't talk politics. Good God. And if you have a chance, if you have a little spare change or an extra dollar in your pocket, please find a charitable organization to give it to. You can take it off your taxes at the end of the year. Either that, volunteer at least, an hour or two. Many organizations are always looking for help at this time. Hanukkah this year starts on the evening of the 25th, so it's late this year. Then immediately after Christmas, we have Kwanzaa. So I wish you all Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, Good Yule, Joyeux Noël, Bon Natal, Chag Chistuyana, Feliz Navidad, Senggang Kualye, Suksanwan Ka Vitsatma. Is that good? Yes. Okay. Milad Majid, and I'll wish you in Polish, which is by speaking Wesołych Świąt Bożego Narodzenia I Szczęśliwego Nowego Roku.
That was not just Merry Christmas.
No, that was Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Okay. All right, now we have comments from the report from the superintendent.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. All right, transportation update. I know that there's a new committee that's formed, and I know we'll talk about that when we do the committees, but I'll give you an update on the board docs from Maria Frillo, our Director of Transportation and Safety. She has been collaborating with the first student to address the 1.5-mile walk zone and accommodate affected students on buses from January to March. They have developed a route which they are referring to as snow walkers, specifically for students who are designed as walkers but live between 1 and 1.5 miles from NFA. Currently, we have established a new routing database for these students and determined that 2 additional buses will be required. However, we are still analyzing bus availability and accounting for new students in the affected areas. Depending on capacity, we may need to add at least 1 more bus. If the existing buses buses exceed their limits. All stops for this new route will be group stops. We currently estimate that the additional buses will cost approximately $402 per day per bus. Please note that if more students are added to existing routes, it may extend the bus operating hours, which would further increase the daily cost per bus. This project has required significant time and effort, especially alongside our regular workload. Despite these challenges, they are on track to have these routes ready for students at NFA in January. So we can update that as time goes on. Second, I want to talk about transportation. Jamie and I were looking at, in the summer, to talk about saving money through transportation by even talking about making our pre-K kids with the same time as our K through 5. Right now, they start at 9:30 in the day. They don't start at the normal day or it's different at Mahan, of course. So we are, the first student, when they spoke with us with Maria and myself and Jamie I think Jamie was it June or July, we were looking around June, they said they didn't have enough time. So now they will have enough time because we've already started discussing with them, and it may look like adjusting school times. We're gonna be looking at everything because we're gonna look to save money in transportation, so instead of teaching and learning. So one of the things that we're going to be suggesting to them is we change the start time for schools, we change the end time. Really, we're gonna just see what they can do, and then we'll pivot based on what they can do for us. So we are looking to find additional savings in transportation. As you know, it's a big number. We'll keep you updated on that. I just wanted to just put that out there that we will be getting some more information on that, but we're starting very early this year to see where we can have some savings with buses.
What is the school time? Start time for the pre-K and then?
So the pre-K starts at 9:30 at Moriarty, Veterans, and Uncas. And Corey, what time does it start at Mahan?
All of them start at
They all start at 9:30.
Moriarty starts at 7 in the morning.
Moriarty has the full day, full year, so that's a little different. But so they don't start. So what happens is some parents have to drop their kids off early, and then they have to go back around, especially at Moriarty, and drop them off at a separate time. So we tried to do that for this school year, and the bus company couldn't make it happen. So we'll still be looking into changing those times.
We don't have that number yet, an estimate of how much that would.
We have no idea. That's why we're gonna start now, and then I'll keep you updated as we talk with first student. All right. Middle school update, I just wanted to put this out there as well. We no longer have to do choice for our middle schools because they're not considered magnet schools anymore. So we are examining how we could make 6th grade starting next year for the 6th graders to put them around, so they live in the global area, Teachers Global, we'll put them there to save money on transportation too. And then if they live in the Kelly area, they will be over here. So we have a meeting set up with our principals at each middle school coming up, and we're gonna discuss how we're gonna slowly roll that out, starting with 6th grade. And then we'll further discuss that as well. So we no longer have to offer parents choice with our magnet schools. They're not considered magnet schools anymore, but that grant's over.
So that's a save on transportation from them getting transported from an area where they're not part of that school's normal population.
Correct. So it would go back to the old way where before we had the grant for that, where anybody that lived in the global teachers area, they went to global, and anybody that went over here. We're gonna have some hiccups. We're gonna have to look at that because there's gonna be more students at Kelly than there will be at global, of course. So we're gonna be we're starting to talk about that next week. I'll keep you updated on that.
That's 6th grade, 7 and 8 will stay?
Yeah, we're not gonna kick kids out of their school. So if they're already at the middle school, they get to stay at the middle school. We're not going to.
If a parent wants a choice, like I've got a 6th grader going to Kelly, I have a 7th grader at teachers. I'd like them both to go to Kelly. I
We'll have to, we'll have to look into that. So there'll be some things that we need to look at. It's gonna take some time.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But I'll keep you updated on there. I just wanted to put that out there to let everybody know we're looking at that as well.
But you'll have a good 6 to 9 months working with first student to get that correct.
Correct. That's why we're starting early. We're gonna to start this right after we get back from the holidays in January with the first student. Preschool update, I gave everybody a copy just so that you can just take a look at that. I'm not gonna read off of that, but when you get a chance, you can look, that's also on the board docs. And then the last thing I wanna talk about is certified staff vacancies. Everything, we're in really good shape. Of course, the math and science, as everybody knows, are the hardest ones to fill. Grade 7 math, we have an opening at Kelly Middle School, but we have a long-term student there that we're looking to, teacher for DSAPing. For those of you who don't know what DSAP is, it's the durational shortage area permit that we're able to get. They have so many credits towards math, and we're able to give them a DSAP, and they can work towards getting their certification. So we have somebody in there that we're pretty happy with, and in all of these actually. Grade 8 science, we have a potential candidate for that. And grade 7 science, we do have a long-term sub that's also going to get DSAP for teachers middle school. And then a brand new opening just happened. We had an instructional specialist at Kelly Middle School that just left us, so we'll be putting that out there. So all in all, we're in really good shape with vacancies. And that concludes my report.
Okay, any questions?
Thank you.
All right, the report of the assistant superintendent.
Okay. Right, so an update beyond the report that was submitted. We are getting some promising assessment data in the area of math. I've been spending some time on our new platform that allows us to get a quick view, an easy view of our performance data on our end of unit module tests, on our universal screener for number sense. Things are organized by strand, so even at the district level, I can look at how we're doing in particular areas of math, look at celebrations of growth, look at areas where we need to provide some additional instruction and intervention. But more important, I think, is the ease in which teachers can access this information to do that ground level work at their classroom level. So I'm really pleased with that platform so far, and the information that we're able to get from it quickly, and and take quick action on some of the areas that we need to pay attention to. This was a new platform that we had funded through Alliance, so we're happy to see that investment is paying off already, in our opinion. As we head into January, we'll be preparing another academic data view for you all, showing you things that have happened over the course of the last few months. The global team has been diligently working on the Commissioners Network application that is expected to be reviewed by the State Board of Education this spring. I've been fortunate to be part of their very active and committed group of personnel, teaching staff, administration. The group also includes a parent who's been attending to provide input and some feedback and suggestions on initiatives that are discussed. So important voice in that planning. We will look forward to sharing some of those details of that plan coming in January. But we also want to say that Kelly Steam, who had been part of the preliminary work in Commissioners Network, has demonstrated improvement, so they're no longer eligible to apply for that Commissioners Network grant, to apply for that funding for next year. So good for Kelly, but I'm really looking forward to opportunities that Global is going to experience. We continue to build and recapture opportunities for our students learning to be enriched. Last month, you heard about our kind of resurrection of the planetarium that we offered for our district students. That's gone very well. And this month, I want to share that we've also talked about experiences and planned experiences. They're already attending some field trips across grade levels that's been brought to us by the Connecticut History Project. There's Connecticut Museum of Culture and History. They've been visiting the State House, and Mark Twain House is also another opportunity that may be explored by our students, but they're free museum trips. And there's also busing that's also available to our students. So that's been a great opportunity for our students. Visits to the Seek Art Gallery are also in the works. Our Amy Edwards and Jason Smith have been working on that initiative. Very fortunate to have that resource in our community for our students to experience. Susan and I have been meeting with Kathleen Special from Otis Library, planning on outreach for our students our younger students to attend field trip experiences there to learn about how the library works and, get families interested in as well for increasing their library card initiative. And so lastly, and just as you heard from Nate today, Susan and I were at NFA at an event for a project that they're kind of embarking on with having students at the high school level already get involved in learning to be a pre-K instructor. So we were there for an event, but we happened to be in Slater, and every time I'm in that place, I marvel at what is right there around the corner. And so Nate was describing some of the things that you heard tonight about having, you'd have to visit 40 museums around the world to see the things that you can at Slater Museum. And so we're, starting to talk about, how can we collaborate with that and have additional opportunities for our students to visit Slater. So that will be down the road, but I've already mentioned it to our arts coordinator as something that we want to really start to kind of flesh out. And lastly, you may have seen in our grant section of the report that about news of the Nina Lowry 21st Century Community Learning Center grant. This program that we've had in operation for quite some time provides the majority of our after-school programs. And we intended to improve attendance, student engagement, and academics. That's really the crutch of this grant application. It was a competitive grant that took considerable time and collaboration from multiple staff in my office, especially from Mabel Ajayan, who is our after-school supervisor, and Sarah Coopy, who is absolutely integral in our grant writing. I had a team of administrators come to help work over the summer to help shape some of the systems that need to be in place if we were to be awarded this grant, especially for how we were going to target school populations. So there were 35 grant awards across the state that ranged from $82,620 to $250,000 being the maximum. Norwich applied for 3 grants and was awarded the maximum for all 3, being the highest awardee in the state of Connecticut. So that's $750,000 each year to continue to fund our after-school program. Without that, we would be limited to extended school hour funding that's in the Alliance grant. All 9 schools were included in the grant application. We had previously applied for some after-school grant funding for our middle schools a couple of years ago and were not successful in that endeavor, so we included them with this grant application and we were successful. In that grant, we are required to have a community partner to help us execute after-school programming, and we requested, we asked Norwich Human Services, a natural community partner, do you want to, come along with us and continue to provide after-school programming through the Norwich Youth and Rec Division? They gratefully accepted that, and $45,000 of that grant gets to them to help us provide after-school opportunities. We did apply for 2 optional components in those grants. One being to fund a high dosage tutoring program for our youngest learners in the area of literacy and math, and then another to continue to promote high school internship program. Both of those opportunities, have been successful in previous experiences. We expect to hear back from the State Department soon on those additional funding sources, but they have not been awarded yet. That would yield an additional $240,000 So we'll see on that one. So really good news. So any questions around that?
Jamie, what was the platform you're using for the data?
To look at our math data, the pair assessment platform. Okay. All right, thank you.
Before Lisa goes, I just want to mention that, forgot, well, in my report and in Susan's, that the public schools also attended the Winterfest parade, the evening parade, and did a wonderful job.
John kept up with us.
That's right. We had gingerbread, Ashley, there you go. Thank you. But Cindy Beauregard did a tremendous job organizing. We had families, we had Frosty, it was fun. And Corey had cards, packets of learning cards to give to kids. And we passed those out. Kids were thrilled. It was a great idea. Great idea.
Principal Marr was there too, Zach Marr.
Zach was there, yeah, that's right. Yeah. He had his hat on crooked, but he was all right. Yeah, she said to put us in walking.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So one thing that I left out, because we just got this 2 days ago, found it at the end of the day, you guys had to approve the Increasing Education Diversity Plan, and that was so we can be compliant with Public Act 23-167, Section 10. And most of the state, they were not approved, so they sent them back to many districts. We were one of them. So we did revise it, and the good news is that it was, we just found out that our plan was approved. And as part of, in accordance with that section in the Public Act, we do need to put it on our website, so that will be coming. We will have that on our website. We have someone working on it to make it look like a cleaner version, so that we'll let you know when we add that to our website. So it'll be up.
And I just yesterday, I attended a webinar on increasing growing teacher diversity in the state. And over the past, with this program, they've increased diversity from, I think it was something like 7.2% to 11.9%. So the state is doing a good job of increasing diversity.
And I just forwarded that email from the state. We actually just got it yesterday.
We have a ways to go, but progress is being made. Okay, now.
Good evening.
Delayed reports from the Director of Student Services.
Good evening, everyone. And speaking of progress, if you take a look at my report, I do have the monthly out-of-district placement report, and I would like to point out that while we are at 106 outplacements right now, currently, that is down 20 placements from last year at this time. I do anticipate a bigger report coming soon regarding how Rose City School is doing, what the status is. We're really excited about the work happening there. And I anticipate that you will be happy with the news that we will be sharing. I wanted to take the opportunity to thank our para-educators across the district and also let you know that as they are engaged in state-sponsored professional development through a company called 321 Insight, we have received grant monies that we will continue. We have to spend it quickly. It's the only caveat, but it will be in the spring, and we'll be doing some in-person training for our para-educators, something that they've really wanted and are looking forward to. I worked with the union steward on that. And 321 Insight offers a lot of different professional development. I've included that in the report for you, but we're actually going to have some of those folks in to assist our para-educators. And additionally, I wanted just to direct a little spotlight, as I typically do, to specially designed instruction in the district and the wonderful unit from Unique Learning System, the gift of giving for this month. And the really nice thing is, as I visit the schools, not only do I see this work happening at the middle school, but I see it in the special programs in the elementary. And so dependent on what students, what level they're on, they're all working within this unit. So it's really exciting to see that across the district. And again, really happy to share that work with you when I get the opportunity. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Wanted to keep it brief this evening. And hope to have some more information for you specifically related to outplacements and our work in bringing students in and preventing some of those outplacements as well.
Quick question on homeschool. Am I reading that right? There's 147 current students being homeschooled. Am I reading that correct?
Yes, currently homeschooling. Mm-hmm.
Do they get any supports from the school, from MPS or no?
And not special education either. No.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Can you help me understand? There's one attachment I'm been trying to figure out.
Oh.
The IPE out of district placement, I think it's titled December BOE liaisons report. I'm just trying to understand, is that the number of our students who are participating in those specific programs?
Correct. Yes. Can you open it? Is it able to be opened?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to double check.
To make sure that's what I was.
Yes, yes, yep. I'm glad you could open the link. That's good. Well, sometimes it's not always, it doesn't always open, so good to know. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Lisa? No? All right. Reportedly Business Administrator.
Good evening. Before I talk to you about budgets and numbers, I'd like to share a little good community news with you. Norwich Public Schools collaborates with Darrell Wilson, our state representative, who works closely with the Norwich Youth Football League and specifically the cheerleading students over there. This past Florida, they competed in the American Youth Cheer Competition at national levels and down in Florida, and all three teams did extremely well. They all placed. I want to try to get this right. The Division 16 small level 2 placed third. The Division 8 small level placed second, and the Division 14 hip hop placed second place. This is a dedicated group of girls who practice 5 days a week. They use our facility at Bishop, and they've been practicing there since September, every day, Monday through Friday. They'll continue through December, so they're going to move on to further competitions. Last year, they actually used our facilities up through March because they kept advancing. So I just wanted to share that with you. And Darrell Wilson is, he's, as you know, our local state rep, and he works very closely to collaborate this program with us. And it's half, they use half of the gym. We were able to successfully move things and work with them to make that available to them. So I'm going to give you an update on some known items in 24-25 budget. And there's a couple of spreadsheets or documents in your budget packet. Specifically, I'm going to talk about our regular tuitions expense for our high schools. That also includes the Ledyard VOAG program and all of our magnet schools. Collectively, that's a big budget number. It's $20,457,510 and represents 21.4% of our budget. So we've received all the bills from all these schools. October 1st is the cutoff point. So unless we have some withdrawals or something, students move in, that number should not change. It's within $11,800 of budget. So it's on the negative side. I'd prefer to see it on the positive side, but on a $20 million number, that's a pretty close number. The salary expense item, which is budgeted at $29,532,578. That includes certified, non-certified, other salaries, certified substitutes and non-certified substitutes, and overtime. That's 30.9% of our budget. Right now, our forecast is showing that we could be about $550,000 under budget. So collectively, those two items, those big groups are 52.3% of our budget, and we should be about $539,000 under budget. One of the most difficult things that we've had budgeting since I've been here has been the certified substitute line item. When COVID came, that line item just went out of sight. There was a whole host of reasons for that. Collectively, administrators and specifically Susan and Race and Mosher and HR have been working to get that number under control and make it become more manageable. I went back and looked to some old financial data. In March of 2023, we were averaging 53 subs per week, per day rather, during that pay period, 53. This past pay period, we were down to just under 32. So I'm hopeful that in the future we can get to a manageable number that'll be more easily predictable, and that the use of substitutes will be for long-term absences, you know, the daily occurrences, the broken bone, the maternity leave, and that sort of thing, so it can become a predictable expense. In that line item, we've had placed substitutes, they're called substitutes awaiting certification. Those are teachers who have come to Norwich from other states, and they just want them to be a full-time certified staff, but they're waiting certification, so they can't go into the certified line item. That number is now down to 4. So it's been a major effort on the part of many, many people to get that number manageable. We monitor salaries every 2 weeks when payroll comes out, and hasn't changed much since the beginning of the school year, so that's becoming a more confident number as we go on. Overtime is, obviously, a lot of it is related to wintertime activities, so I'm hopeful that won't balloon up with a lot of snowstorms. Overall, transportation is trending close to the budget. One area where it is showing higher expenses in the area of special education individual van transports. We have more students being transported by vans than we did the prior year. One item that will be probably the most impactful to how we end the year is going to be our excess costs grant reimbursement. The Special Services Department submitted that grant data on December 1st. I had contacted the state this week to see when we might have an indication, and I've been told that we could get an early indication on the amount of the reimbursement by the end of December, but most likely early to mid-January. That will be very impactful. So.
The legislative session opens in January, so we may get the figure mid-January.
Well, I don't think our legislative session will have any impact on this year's reimbursement. They'll be working on a biennial budget, but I believe they're still operating under.
Be starting a new budget.
Right. What the state has to wait for is to see what total special education costs are equal to for all districts. That'll go in large part to determine what percentages districts get for the reimbursement. And then what's also important, and people who cited this or maybe don't even know about it, it's the mix of students that you have in your special education program. It's actually possible to have lower special ed costs in a particular year and get less reimbursement because you don't have as many high-cost students. And that might sound contradictory to logic, but that's the way it works. For instance, if the reimbursement threshold were $100,000 and you had 2 students at $100,000, you'd get no reimbursement versus 1 student at $200,000. You'd get at least probably 70% of $100,000, so the net cost to the district would be $140,000 versus $200,000, yet the total costs are the same. So that's a very hard concept to discuss.
So Bob, with the lower amount of out-of-district placements, has that affected the transportation budget for special ed?
It probably has. When I look at what I call the core transportation, which would be the special education or small transport buses and the regular ed buses, overall first student is trending less than we were last year. So I would attribute part of that to that phenomenon. It wouldn't necessarily change the, be responsible for the increase in smaller transports because one student might not be able to ride a bus. So that's why there's an increase in the van, not related to an increase in outplacements.
And if we're still using the same number of facilities, instead of 4 students.
Yeah. If
it might be 2.
for instance, if we have, I'll make up a fictitious number, if we have 12 students going to the Bradley Academy on a type 2 bus, and we now have 2 fewer placements, we're still gonna have the same transportation cost because 10 students are going and the bus is the bus. So that concludes the individual items I wanted to talk about. If you have any questions related to that or anything else, please feel free.
Okay, so that brings us to unfinished business. First item is the approval of the calendar for 25-26. Could I have a motion to approve?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? I have one question. Originally in the draft version, we were talking about Veterans Day, November 11th, being open. Are we being closed that day now?
We are. Unless you wanna have that open, then we would have to make sure that we have a curriculum around.
I wanted it closed.
All right, so that's gonna change our, because originally we were gonna have a BOE meeting on that night. So that trend brings us to the following week, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay,
And there,
It's on here, it says the
Yeah,
18th.
18th, right. Cause I think the town clerk was asking me about that, and originally I told her the 11th, so I'll have to make a correction.
She reached out to me as well, and I think Amber will follow up with her, so you don't have to do it tomorrow.
All right,
on here, it does show November 18th. That's
Right.
not gonna be a week.
yeah, but the previous version,
Oh, okay.
the draft version that we first
Yeah,
looked
I
at
understand, Mark.
had the 11th.
And also the winter recess, remember we talked about having President's Day for one of those days? And it still says winter recess on here.
You would like it changed to President's Day?
Yeah, that's what we had said last month.
Which day, the 16th?
Yes.
I think we can approve
We
it
had
with that
started
minor
discussing it last month.
change.
Yes.
Yeah. Is everyone in agreement to
We'll
that?
fix that and send it out to everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just the language.
Aye.
I'm fine with it.
There's
All
no
right,
motion,
yeah.
I see.
All right. So let's take all in favor of the calendar with the minor change of changing the 16th to President's Day.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all approved? All in favor. Next item, the proposed policy changes. Now, we grouped those as a grouping, all the, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different policies. And those were all in line with changes made by, I believe, the state legislature to comport our policies with changes in state law.
Motion to approve the proposed changes to policies number 1050, policy number 41112, policy number 4118.112, policy number 5121, and policy number 5145.5 as presented to the board. First read at the November Board of Education meeting.
And can I have a second on that?
One second.
Okay. All right, any discussion? hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No,
Okay, so we have, you're a no on that,
yes.
Christine? Okay.
Yes.
So we have, seven, was it six? 1, 2, 3. 7-1.
Yes.
I do, I wish I'd written up a little blurb, but I do wanna say that, I really think this should be tabled till after we see what the new administration does.
Well, this is to comport with current state law, I mean,
Oh, I know, I know.
yeah, we may have to change, we may have to vote on it again if there are changes in federal law. So,
But we still
we
shouldn't
can
be,
only go with what the current law is, you know,
But we
if the
still
law
shouldn't be
changes, we
agreeing to
will be voting on it
going
again.
along with discriminating against our female athletes, cause that's what
This
we're doing.
policy does not discriminate against female athletes.
It is if we
It
allow
does
men,
not
boys
in
to
any
play
way
on
sh-
the teams.
We are not allowing boys to play on the team. We're following the law. We are not discriminating against female athletes. This policy says you cannot discriminate against anybody, not female athletes, not
That's the
anybody.
thing,
That's
it's
what this
really
policy
not that
does.
specific. Do you really think it is, Greg? You think it's that specific? It
Do I think
seems
what's that
quite
specific?
Right.
gray, the policy.
The policy is not gray at all.
We have
It's very
approved
straightforward.
it.
It says what it's supposed to do.
It should have been 6-1, I think somebody said 7-1, but it's 6.
Christina, I
Second
couldn't
Mark
hear
as
you.
well.
No, that, they said 7, but there's really 6. Oh.
7, no, it's
Seven,
7
yeah.
to 1.
Yes.
Yeah, it is, there's 8 of us sitting at the table.
It's okay.
All right. Okay, so that concludes our business there. Committee reports, budget expenditure, we haven't started that yet.
I mean, it looks
Although
like there's
Bob has been working diligently on getting that together. So most likely, what, February for our first meetings for those, for the
Probably be the end of January.
end of January? Okay.
Maybe 2 in February.
And then as soon as those are concluded, then we would get into the ad hoc schedule. Okay, the negotiation committee, I've written up a small blurb. We'll be voting on the administrators. The nurses, I don't believe, have submitted their, they have, did they or not?
They ratified, yes.
Did they ratify? And they did submit it?
Yes, we have.
Okay, so we do have it, so we will be voting on both the administrators and the nurses' contract tonight then. And there's a report in there on the school committee, building committee, transportation committee. Greg?
Okay, so there's not a lot to add that isn't in the transportation report in the Bob Serpensky put out there, and that also Susan had mentioned before. We are forming a transportation committee and recruiting members right now. The goal is to meet one time in December and to get more meetings scheduled. Maria Perillo has done a ton of work on the task that we presented her with to expand and offer access to the and buses for students who live within 1.5 miles of the school. Creating those group stops so that no students should have to walk more than a half mile, and that'll be for January, February, and March. The committee is going to work on the long-term policy of Norwich Public School and busing. So we'll have more information, I hope, next month.
Okay, policy.
Policy committee will be meeting next week on Thursday, December 19th.
Okay, anything on the agenda at this point?
For the policy?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
All right, brings us to board reports, IDCS.
Some big news for IDCS. They got a grant just this week, working with the Norwich Community Development Corporation to remediate the historic Mason House, the big white building that's right in front of the school, with the plan to use that for mental health services and community events. So that's just getting started. The grant was just approved, but nothing's been done with that yet. Along with Representative Wilson, a number of students from IDCS are gonna be going to the State House on December 19th. And some of those students are going to be chosen to speak and also kind of be tour guides and helpers for a legislative breakfast that's happening at IDCS in January 15th, where legislators will be coming to the school. Much like I see the stuff out there, the book fair is happening at IDCS this week, Wednesday through Friday. And I don't know how this went or have any more details because the meeting happened on the 20th of last month. But the 22nd, I know there was a meeting with Ashley Eichhorn to discuss collaborative professional development opportunities between IDCS and Norwich Public Schools. So that might be something you could speak more about because I don't have more knowledge.
So we're just starting the conversation with Deb, the director there, including obviously Ashley Eichhorn, we're gonna try to partner up with some PD with them. So if we have similar professional development, we would like to team up.
That's great. Do you want me to go right into Learn?
Before you go there, I have a question.
Sure.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine, go ahead.
Did you capture the raccoon yet? Did they capture the raccoon?
They have a wild.
They have a raccoon
There
in the
was a
school or
raccoon
out?
that had got into the school. They were able to confine it to the gym. They had to shut down PE classes for a day. But they did end up being able to capture it and safely release it with no huge amount of damage. No one got bit and
I heard they got some
scratched, anything like
fish.
that.
Did they get some goldfish or something?
I don't know. I don't know the details. All I know is what my daughter has told me about that. So I don't have the details. I haven't been at the school for any meetings since that happened.
I'm glad no one got bit, cause there was a report I read somewhere that there was a rabid raccoon that was caught recently in the area.
When I picked up my daughter today, she told me that they caught a raccoon that had rabies, and I said, "Are you talking about the one that was at the school?" And she said, no, different one.
Just a question about the legislative breakfast, so what's the focus of that? Is it just about the grant that they received, or?
There's two things. So one is it's a learning experience for students. It's a chance for students and teachers to connect with legislators. And the second is advocacy and really education for legislators about charter schools in Connecticut, specifically schools like IDCS and Isaac, and how they're different from for-profit charter schools. Many don't have a full understanding, and often legislators will speak against charter schools, thinking of them in the vein of the model that many charter schools will take, not in Connecticut, where they are taking away funds, resources, children from our public schools.
It's a good idea. Was that Darrell's idea?
I know he had a hand in it, yeah.
That's a good idea.
Okay, Learn.
Okay, so at the last Learn meeting, I got to see Susan on the screen presenting on some initiatives and strategic planning. Awesome job. There is a program called the Regional Shared Solutions Project, which is funded by a grant. It is about shared services for things that oftentimes smaller schools or smaller districts are not able to do or have on their own. I think there's like 10 school districts, Basra, New London, Ledger, North Stonington, Preston, Region 17, Thompson, and Putnam currently participating in that. But it is open. They are open to other schools within this RESC joining that program to get help with HR or what other things they might not have and be able to do on their own. Learn also passed a prohibition of sex discrimination policy this past month, and they reviewed the draft audit from last year, which was clean, but found a few budgetary weaknesses that they've identified to remedy. And they also were approved for their increasing educator diversity plan. And lastly, they published their tuitions and services offerings and rates for this year. So that is there. I don't know if it's on the website now, but it's within the minutes of last month's meeting. what the fees are for their magnet schools, what the fees are for tuition and other services that they offer.
Okay, any questions for Greg on Learn? All right, the NFA board, my report's in the materials. Basically, it covers what Nate covered tonight. They are experiencing a small budget shortfall, but they're again enrollment dependent in order to meet all their needs. So they're working on that, and hopefully they'll wipe that out by the end of the year. So they're on track to do that. Also, my report is in there on the Ed Foundation. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend that meeting, being that it was the night of the nurses' negotiations, so I'll get a report next month on exactly what the financial outcome of that was. And we're always looking for new members and volunteers to help us on the board or with the work of the foundation. And you have additional reports in Bob's report on the year-to-date budget report, enrollment, and the personnel report. And then that brings us to executive session. Oh. John has left the room.
Do you have a statement that needs to be read?
Yeah, just want to read that, Kevin, and
Okay. Pursuant to Connecticut General Statute 1-200, members of the Board of Education move to go into executive session for discussion of the Administrators Association contract and the school nurses contract. The board may ask Susan Lazar and Robert Serpenti to participate in some or all of the executive session discussion.
okay, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous. All right.
John, you're fired.
One down, you got one down.
Okay, it's 8:32 PM. We are now out of executive session. During executive session, we discussed both the administrators and the nurses' contract. We took no votes in executive session. Could I have a motion, please, to approve the Norwich School Administrators Association contract?
I'll make that motion.
And do I have a second?
Kevin Zaitani, I will second that motion.
Any discussion on the contract? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is unanimous. Next item of business is could I have a motion to approve the school nurses and LPN contract?
I'll make that motion, Chris DeStacio.
Okay.
John Iavino, second.
Okay, any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous. Could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas,
Yes.
everyone.
Happy holidays to everyone.
I can't wait, and I can't wait to read. It's so hard not to.
Interesting to look back at like who made all